Hey, everybody. It's unfortunate, but nobody came this week in February. Maybe we're all busy. That's totally fine. I just wanted to hop on and leave you a little extra nugget, which was what we were going to talk about tonight, and actually kind of break it down and make it more personal by getting some feedback from all of you. But I'll do my overview of what compassionate action is and why I was going to bring that to the group tonight. So this month, if you are still going through the online course, we're in that self-compassion or becoming more self-compassionate. I don't know, self-compassion module. And there's a lot that goes into that. It starts with a lot of the brain neurology and helping you understand it's a hard thing to do. Like, legitimately not what we're wired to do. We're wired to look at problems and try to fix them, not get critical and have this compassionate, kind understandingness towards ourselves. Understandingness, not a word, but I'll just make it up. So what happens is that you are, every time there's a trigger over here to be self-critical, also asking for compassionate action on the other side, or compassionate thought. But we're going to talk about compassionate action today, because the body, the behavior of yourself, of your humanness, is really its first language. Like, your body mind knows that when you are exercising and eating well and getting enough rest and having water a lot, that you are nurturing this body. The behavior of all those things and paying that much attention to all those things is really what your body mind is responding to, as much as it's responding to those physical pieces. In fact, there's been research studies where they set things up and say, you're never going to lose any weight. What we're going to do here, you're never going to lose any weight. You're never going to feel better physically. It's not going to do anything. We just want you to eat this, drink this, sleep this much, and give us some feedback on, is there any change from front to back? Guess what happens? It didn't help them. They didn't lose the weight. They didn't feel any better. Same diet, same exercise, same stuff. Another group of people that they said, hey, this is the shit. Like, if you do this plan, it's the best in the world. You're going to lose weight. You're going to feel great. You're going to have all this energy. No more clouded, brain, none of that stuff. That group does it. What happens? They feel great. So there is such power in our behavior telling our body mind what it needs to know, as well as thought, as well as changing our approach to things. And so I think a lot of what's in the course focuses on that thought, a little less on the compassionate action. And because the theme for February in general is to love ourselves, that's what I'm spouting about in my podcasts and weekly newsletter. If you have looked at the video for the free coaching that happens, that you're also invited to always, I talked about having a relationship with yourself. So go over there if you want to hear a little bit more about what's my theory on creating a relationship with your own self, and how powerful that can be overall to help you to get through life better, to be more compassionate, to be able to see yourself in relationship as the person, instead of as this object or machine that you're asking it to do a bunch of stuff. I won't say more about that because it's in that other video. So compassionate action was what I wanted to talk about with you this evening. And I was thinking, one of the things that I think really exemplifies what compassionate action is this exercise by Emily Nagoski. That's right, Dr. Emily Nagoski, who's a sex educator. She has the book Burnout, and so that's in resources. So you've probably heard this name before. She also wrote a book called Come As You Are, which is about female sexuality. Good for women to read, honestly, front to back. It's funny, it's easy to follow, and it tells us about our body in ways that nobody ever told us. And it's great for partners as well. So if you have any male partners that maybe don't know about the female anatomy well enough, have them read it. That'd be great. Okay. Not that we all have male partners, just saying. Okay, I in that book I did this exercise that she suggested. So she was talking and I'm certain this was Come As You Are, although knowing me, maybe I have flip-flopped and it was in Burnout, but I'm pretty sure it was Come As You Are. I what she instructed you to do around body image was to do what we would call in psychology an exposure therapy experiment, or an exposure experiment of some kind. So you're going to expose yourself to something over and over and over to desensitize yourself to it over time. And they call it stimulus and response prevention. So that you're going to expose the exposure to the stimulus, but over time you're trying to prevent yourself from having the normal response to it, doing a different thing. This is where compassionate action comes in. And this is why I think that this particular exercise exemplifies it so well. So she's talking in the book about culture, societal conditioning, basically that we are spoon fed from birth that there is an ideal beauty, and it looks like this narrow bit of the population that is a certain age, a certain size, a certain skin tone. I mean, the whole 9 yards, right? Obviously, as a woman in midlife, you're not fitting some of those categories because one of them is being young, and we're not. Doesn't mean we're not great. We are, but that isn't that societal conditioning around what your body should look like. But she was talking about body image. This is why I think it was in the Come As You Are book. She was talking about body image as it relates to when women aren't confident. That insecurity kind of holds them back in their sexuality and their sexual pleasure in general. And so actual work on our culturally created body dysmorphia, which is what we would psychologically call that, seeing ourselves as fat, ugly, old, not enough, because culture is telling us that, not because that's truth, but because we have been given a definition that no longer serves us. She wanted you to do this exercise to help you kind of free yourself from that. Now, it doesn't make all of that conditioning go away. This exercise that I'm going to tell you about, it doesn't like miraculously make culture see you as, a beautiful, wonderful person. But what it does is it separates you from that programming and conditioning, which is interesting because we'll get into that next month. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys in person. But it really separates person from definition in a way like, this definition doesn't serve me. I don't really want that. I don't really need that. And so, no, thank you. Okay, so here's the exercise. She has you strip down to as close to naked as you're comfortable doing and stand in front of a mirror every single day. I believe she suggests it's for 60 seconds, or maybe that was just a Natalie add-on, because that's what I did. I made myself look at myself for 60 seconds, as naked as a jaybird, as they say. Sometimes I would even turn around or turn the side. I mean, I wanted to kind of take in this exercise. Some people aren't comfortable looking at an entirely nude body. So, as much as you can, get down to the nudeness, or, underclothing or whatever. So you're seeing as much of your body as possible. And while you're doing that, you're going to hear this loudness in your head about culture telling you that's gross and that's fat and that's ugly and you should have done something better about that. And I don't like that. I mean, it's right. You know this to be true. It is always happening in women's heads by design, because we've been programmed to believe these things. So you'll hear that loudly. But what she's asking you to do on this side is to name at least one thing that you see on that body right then that you like. One thing. She doesn't care what it is. Could be your eyelashes, could be the tip of your nose, could be shoulders. It doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with anything what the thing is that you like. But she does encourage you to try to find a new thing each day if you can. If you can't, start recycling some old ones, but stretch yourself. And again, I believe she tells you to do this for 30 days and then kind of reassess where your body image is at. It was really interesting because when I first started this, I was a very modest person. Um, Grew up Catholic, culturally Catholic. And so I was very modest just in general. Like I didn't like to see myself. And I went all the way down to nudeness so that I could really, really get the value of this exercise. And after 30 days, I noticed I didn't really care whether I had clothes or no clothes on. And I realized that part of my modesty was a story I was telling myself, even though I didn't realize it, right? My self awareness hadn't come online yet about this. A story that I told myself about nobody wants to see that. You need to keep that covered. That's the part of you that's hidden from the world. There was a strong story there. And by standing in front of that mirror and looking top to bottom, side, as much of the back as I could, and naming something new for 30 days that I liked on that body, I started to relate to my body much differently. I started having a much better ability to take care of myself, to not get pulled into the cultural norms of you're not going to look good enough unless you do these things. And in fact, I started to choose what I was wearing differently. I started to choose, if I decided to wear makeup or not makeup. I had never left my house without makeup prior to that. And I did after that. Not often. It's still, kind of my comfort zone. I'm covering, I guess, my face and my eyebrows that no longer exist unless you drop them on. But it really changed the way I related to my body, to myself. It was creating a relationship, it was creating a connection, and it was desensitizing me to other people's ideas of who I am and what I look like. And it was pretty amazing. That's a compassionate action. Putting something into place that flies in the face of our loud, self-critical thoughts, of our not wanting to forgive ourselves for mistakes we've made, of our feeling disappointed and regretful that we haven't done certain things by this point in our life. We are going to have that show up. That is the hard part of doing self-compassion. This doesn't stop. What we're hoping to do is get this reciprocal thought and belief system to actually counterbalance it. That is compassionate. That's kind. It's understanding. It lets you know that you're just human. Everybody is. And it suddenly puts you in a different light, like a person, instead of this machine that should be doing all the things you want it to do, right? A human doer. No, you're a human being and you relate to other beings that way. So you need to relate to yourself as a being that way, right? It's pretty exciting stuff. So what I want you to be thinking about and what we were going to have in small discussion tonight was, what can I put into compassionate action? So here's my assignment for this group. I want you to think of something that you've been struggling with lately, just lately, right? Just something that's kind of a thorn in your side right now. And you just can't seem to shake it. And you notice that when you can't shake it, that you're getting more and more self-critical about it, lot louder, mean girl voice happening in your life. So pick one of those kinds of things. Okay. And then create a compassionate action that would help to counterbalance that would teach your body mind to think and feel about yourself differently, right? So in the example I gave you, it's like body image here, horrible, because culture told me what I should look like. And standing in front of the mirror naked to desensitize myself to the culture's ideas and allow space for me to maybe have another thought about what my body looks like. Awesome, right? So that's what I'm looking for you to do. And because I didn't see any of you, I want you to post in the course room. You can post it right, in the comments right under where our video is for the week on that particular page. Just, post in the comments what that struggle is, what that compassionate action is, and let's talk to each other through the next 30 days about how that's working or not working. Okay. I really encourage you to have fun with this, to try something. I mean, if you do something stupid for 30 days that doesn't work, or, it was a compassionate action, but it didn't have a lot of, stuff that made you feel better, that's okay. That's okay. You at least gave it a try. And let me tell you, the fact that you put effort in and spent 30 days doing that effortful thing speaks volumes to your system. So if the standing naked didn't really do anything, that's okay. What it did do for me is that I was willing to show up for myself for 60 seconds every single day for 30 days. And my body mind knows that to be true. So there's like this secondary benefit to doing this practice on a daily basis. And that is your body mind understands that you're prioritizing yourself, that you're putting yourself in high regard and building that self worth over time. That's really what we're looking for. Okay. Have a great February. I hope you're all finding relationships with yourself, dating yourself over the month. If you haven't, go over to the free group coaching video and hear a little bit more on that. But I am looking forward to seeing you all next month.